Hey guys, how about this? So before I get in the video, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Um, this channel's getting some movement, and I'm really hoping that it can reach more people as a whole. So today I want to talk about fear. What is it? How do we deal with it? Um, Basically, I look at fear into two different categories: the micro fear in our lives and the macro fear in our lives. Micro fear is fear that we have within. This is something that I think is rarely developed in people. Macro fear is the fear that when we look out into the world and when we have a no fear mentality, this may be jumping out of a plane or doing something that most people would fear. We are conquering those elements of our lives. Both are very important, but I want to focus on the micro fear a little bit today. The micro fear is something that can really only be developed and understood in your relationships with people. This would be your close relationships. This would be your best friend, your siblings, your parents, or your spouse or your partner. So these are relationships that what happens is two people, as they journey through life, they're going to attribute certain identities to who they are. So I'm tall, so that's an identity that I have. I'm a black man, so that's an identity that I have. Those identities come with ideas. They're packed in to that identity. Those ideas that exist in our mind that we have attributed to our identities. Now, both people are going to have that, but they're not going to line up succinct all the time. And it is only in the very, very close relationships that we can encounter people that have different views. You know, my wife said this great thing to me like a year into our marriage. She was like, I never knew I was a kind of a persnickety person or an anal person until I was living with you, because I thought I was so laid back and cool with everything. And then when we were in close quarters together, we started to see certain differences, and then your mind begins to spin. So these are relationships like this. And what happens is we have these identities, we have these ideas that are attributed to those identities, and we begin to defend them. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with defending those ideas. A great example is Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King saw an injustice in the country, and he defended that injustice peacefully, under self-control, and he ultimately changed a nation. He changed a governmental structure. This is the power of being able to operate, with a peaceful agenda when it comes to differences. But I think what most of us get wrapped up into is defending our differences to some end, to some point of us overcoming or becoming greater or winning an argument or teaching that other person a lesson. And that's where I think we really need to be careful, because in our closest relationships, these are normally people that we choose to be close to. We're in a relationship to be close to, but we choose that. And we find ourselves defending certain ideals that we have attributed to our identity. The identity, the true identity of someone is not bound by ideas and structures and different things. The true identity of someone is that which is within, a light, if you will, that is eternal. We always talk about when the body passes away, what happens? Well, something continues to exist. Something is eternal, if you believe that. And I know there's many points of views on that. But that is something that I think is out there. And so if we have something that is within us, that is eternal, then we have to attribute things that maybe are not eternal. Things like, let's take political status, for example. Well, Democratic and Republican parties have changed their views throughout the course of American history. Money, for example. If one day I have a lot of money in my bank accounts, a big life change happens in my life, and then 3 weeks later, it's completely different, that's a change. These things can change, but yet we want to fight for them, even to the point of it wrecking our closest relationships. And that's what I want to make sure today, that we are not operating in fear based on an identity, or we're not operating in violence or spewing hateful things to another person based on an identity that may not be who we really are, guys. We really need to take a long look in the mirror and make sure we are attributing ourselves and our identities with the right things, which namely is going to be love, which namely is going to be connection. So that's it, guys. Hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.